Already from the start, Miller's Girl has received a lot of backlash because of the age difference between the two lead acts, Jenna Ortega at 21 and Martin Freeman at 52. But I'm not here to talk about that, I'm here to review this as a movie, and to that extent it does not entice me in any way, as it is a mess from start to finish. A more pleasant word would be that it is a disaster, and today I'm putting my head on the chopping block to tell you why. Essentially, I think you need to be a writer to get this movie, because there are generally a lot of references to that of being a writer, and it is a very close-minded movie in terms that you have to understand the code between writers and understand how those environments work. But then again, if you just decode a movie with one layer, it is all about sexual attraction, in this case between a student and a teacher. On that surface, the movie seems very simple. But there's a broad attempt to make it more complex, as the student Cairo Sweet tries to decode a very complex writer in order to write the best possible story. Generally, I don't feel it succeeds in the attempt though, and it seems desperate at best. The movie is also first and foremost a very cringe affair, as those romantic interactions or conversations that take place between the characters are done in a highly stylish way. To that extent, it feels just like a high school movie, and Jenna Ortega is nothing more than a sweet, innocent student with a devious game plan, which examines the power exchange between a student and a teacher in the eyes of seduction. Who has got the power and who is believed in a case where there's a debate over whether there was a sexual relation between them or not. That is up to interpretation, I guess, but I generally feel that movies like these are better when they walk more towards a thriller movie. Despite that you see those elements, it is more a drama movie rather than a movie such as, for instance, Secret Window or Dreamhouse, that kinda has those lines between fiction and reality that they are trying to tell. But those movies are way more on the tense side compared to this movie that bores you a lot. Of course, those are more crime thrillers, and this is perhaps a more erotic drama movie, but this one is easily brushed aside. You really see that in this one, as you lack the intense moments you could easily create in a more satisfying way. Neither do I like the voiceovers in this movie. Yes, I understand that it may be effective as they try to tell what is in the main character's head from a more psychological point of view. Nevertheless, I believe it to be overdone, and we don't need to repeatedly hear Jenna tell a story that way. It is of course not done as excessive as it is done in the movie The Killer, but at the same time there's no need to use it that much. Naturally, I understand it is an attempt to make the story come alive between them, and you kinda maybe miss what is real and what is not, but it never becomes that powerful. Like I have talked about, it lacks tense moments, and those moments between Cairo and Mr. Miller could have been way more intense, but as they chose to let, for instance, his wife be a central part of the story in addition, you kinda ruin what could have been, because of the quarrels they have between them when she's drunk are actually more tense than the interactions between the student and the teacher of the story, and I feel it becomes a serious, fragile, weak point. I am not neither sure how you could make this into a more strong movie where you really feel the intensity even more, but when people talk about this being inappropriate, that is perhaps more about the text that the student have written or the big age difference between Jenna and the teacher. That is perhaps the only real reason that this movie is R-rated, because it is not that sexual or vivid in nature. Personally, I feel you have a lot of movies that feels way more adult than this one, because this one actually feels like it could have been penned down by a 15-year-old. But I guess that's also one of the reasons why this movie flopped that badly. We lack more creativity, they don't make it come alive, and above all, it is just a way more cringe and useless movie than it deserves to be. That's why for me, I will not give it more than a 3 out of 10, but not that I had any big expectation for it in the first place.